Television has influenced sport in many ways. One of this is that people are able to watch sport from their homes, such as football. This allows them to save money on going to the matches and paying for tickets and travel. Also, they do not lose interest in the sport as they are able to watch it from home on a regular basis rather than going possibly once a season to go see a match, allowing them to view more games. Also result in participation levels going up as people will want to play the sport more as they can get involved with it more. This is because they are able to watch the game more, increasing their ability to want to play as they are able to watch it more and get into the sport. Also, due to television programmes such as Sky Sports News, people are able to keep up to date with a variety of sports, for example football, cricket, tennis and rugby. This allows them to have more knowledge of sports and learn about the different types of sports, encouraging them to want to play the sport, increasing participation levels and encouraging them to want to take part in these sports. Advertising is a really big influence on sport, as many companies will advertise their company on TV during sport programmes and in between the breaks, and also advertise themselves on boards such as on the side of a football game you have the advertisements. This then generates a lot of money for sports and specific sports such as football, and will also generate money for them to develop the sport even further. Also, this is a benefit not only for the sport through generating money for the sport, but also for the advertisement and the company, as they are able to advertise maybe at a cheaper price than other advertisements, and it will also get the name out there as sports are very popular and people who see the advertisement will want to go to the company and maybe purchase things off them and get interested within the company. So it's a benefit not only for the sport but also for the company. Also, television has a big influence on advertising as well, as sports teams and different parts of sports are able to advertise themselves on television, getting the word of the sport out there more and increasing participation levels of the public as they are able to see the advertisement and want to play the sport, and this encourages them to go and play it. Sponsorship is a big influence on sport, as many companies and shops and many things like that will want to sponsor football teams and football programs and betting and all things like that, because they pay money to the teams or whoever they are sponsoring, which generates money for them, the team or whoever they are paying the money to, because they are giving them money to get their logo or their name or brand onto the shirt or the kit or the training equipment or the balls or the boots or whatever it is that they are sponsoring and what their product is and what their club or whatever it is that are being sponsored, they're able to develop further, which generates money for them, meaning they can develop further and increase the team, making them better. But also it is a big benefit for the sponsor, as they are getting their logo or brand or name onto the shirt or kits or training equipment or boots or whatever it is, which then gets their name out there more, as many people will recognise that brand or logo from that specific team, and this can benefit them as it will bring in more customers or purchasers for them, such as AIG was a company that nobody had really ever heard of before they sponsored Manchester United, and they are now strongly linked in with Manchester United. Another example, America and due to the American owners coming to Liverpool and sponsoring Liverpool, Warrior then becomes distributed with Liverpool, and when you think of Warrior you think of Liverpool, but that has increased their purchases and customers. There is a massive influence on the rules of the game within sport. This is because many public viewers of the sport, not only going to the matches but also television, will want the game to be fairer as they are watching it, and this can also increase participation level because the public's view of the game is a very big factor for all sports. This is because, such as in football, goal line technology has been introduced in this season, in the 2013-14 season, and this will benefit the sport very much within the UK, as many fans and public viewers of football want this to happen, as it makes the game fairer, as there is goal line technology, and whether the ball has crossed the line or not, and human error is no longer a problem now with goal line technology. This also benefits the sport as it can generate a lot of money for them because of the improvements of the rules in the game that the public viewers want and the fans of the game, such as football. Betting is then increased as many more people want to bet on the game as it is fairer and they stand a chance of winning. For example, if somebody put a bet on for a team to win and due to human error the ball did cross the line but the referee did not see it and he doesn't give the goal and people are losing out on a lot of money, a lot of people will feel discouraged from the sport and will no longer want to bet, which can decrease the money rate of football and result in many people not wanting to get involved within the game, and that will discourage them from playing the game, as they want sport games to be fair and clean and clear. Spectatorism has a massive influence within sport, as this is where people go and view the matches live at the match at the stadium by buying a ticket and travelling. However, due to television and broadcasting, many people have stopped doing this, which has had a big influence within sport as it generates a lot of money through spectatorism, but due to television, many people are now paying subscriptions for such as like Sky Sports packages to then watch the games at home, and rather than not going to the match, they'd rather sit in their home and watch the match there. This can benefit the sport as many people feel more comfortable in their own home. They are able to eat, drink, and genuinely would prefer to watch it at home, as it is a better environment for them to watch and does not cost as lot as travelling and paying for the ticket. Punditry has also had a very big influence in sport, as there are now many pundits out there who are able to review and analyse games, which is what the fans want, as they can look into the games into more detail, and this can increase participation rate, as not only does it give them a better knowledge of the sport, but it also can further develop their mind within the sport and how they play. This is because they can go into great detail as pundits, and this can encourage people to want to play the game more. Also, pundits are also very good as they cause a lot of controversy between each other, as there are many pundits during one TV show, such as on BBC there is Match of the Day, which usually features Alan Hansen and Alan Shearer, which they both have different opinions, which means that it can cause controversy between fans, meaning they can be talking about it all week, which is also a big factor for sport, as not only does it get the word of the sport out there and encourage more people to want to get into it, but also People want to watch the pundits as they find them very interesting. A lot of them are ex-footballers, which means they go into a lot of great detail, and many people game, which can benefit sport as that can generate money for them, as many people will be willing to bet on players to win, such as the Golden Boot, which many pundits may think that they will win this year. So, for example, a pundit such as Alan Shearer could say next season that Luis Suarez will win the Golden Boot, meaning many people may bet on Luis Suarez to win the boot due to the pundits. Local national press has influenced sport massively with things such as magazines. This is because magazines can influence people's views on players and teams and individual performances and team performances, managers, coaches, etc. This can benefit sport as many people get more interested within the sport. However, it can also discourage people from sport as many people may find that magazines are biased towards players and teams and coaches and managers. Magazines also have a big influence on sport as many people can purchase magazines to keep up to date with sport, such as Match of the Day magazine sold in newsagents and stores and supermarkets that allow people to keep up with sport, to collect certain things. There are prizes that can be won in there, and it makes it a lot more interesting for fans and the public to be able to not only keep up with the sport but also have fun and become interested within the sport, as the magazines offer a variety of things. Also, it generates money for sport as they're selling the magazines which people want to purchase, meaning that the money they go towards developing football even further, and especially in the media. Local national press has influenced sport massively with things such as magazines. This is because magazines can influence people's views on players and teams and individual performances and team performances, managers, coaches, etc. This can benefit sport as many people get more interested within the sport. However, it can also discourage people from sport as many people may find that magazines are biased towards players and teams and coaches and managers. Magazines also have a big influence on sport as many people can purchase magazines to keep up to date with sport, such as Match of the Day magazine sold in newsagents and stores and supermarkets that allow people to keep up with sport, to collect certain things. There are prizes that can be won in there, and it makes it a lot more interesting for fans and the public to be able to not only keep up with the sport but also have fun and become interested within the sport, as the magazines offer a variety of things. Also, it generates money for sport as they're selling the magazines which people want to purchase, meaning that the money they go towards developing football even further, and especially in the media. The local and national press can also have a big influence on sport through sensationalism, which can influence the public's views, as the media can be biased towards teams or players and make them out to be something maybe they are not, which means that they can become biased towards players, either improving their reputation through performances they do week in, week out, or discouraging them as players or managers or coaches, for example, and making their reputation lowered through bad things that happen to them, such as Alan Pardew recently headbutted a player as a manager. That is not acceptable, and the media have use sensationalism to get the word out there and make it out to maybe be a lot worse than it was, becoming biased towards Alan Pardew for the bad reasons. And this can affect sport and influence it, because many of the public and many of the fans of football may now not want to watch Newcastle or be discouraged from watching football in general, because they feel like that is an inappropriate thing for a manager to do, as he should be a role model to not only his team and his players but also to the public. Jingoism can also influence sport from the media in the local national press, due to this can patronise players and become biased towards countries, such as in the UK they may favour English players over foreign players, and such as transfers, they can be very biased towards foreign players and not give them the reputation and recognition that they deserve through media in the local national press using jingoism. This can affect sport and influence it, because many foreign players may then become discouraged from coming to the UK because they may feel like they are being not treated as fairly as English players. This can have a big influence in sport in the UK, because many foreign players may not want to come over to England to play due to them being treated unfairly by the press, meaning that there could be a loss of money due to players not coming over here, meaning there is not enough players in that certain sport to play at a high level, meaning that there aren't as many teams, discouraging people from playing due to the opportunities becoming harder and harder for people to get into that specific sport. The internet has had a very big influence on sport in the UK, because there are now things such as chat rooms, meaning that the fans and the public can now talk about the sport and talk about controversy within the sport, meaning that not only does the word of the sport get out there, meaning there could be an increase in participation as more people can hear about it, but also due to the chat rooms, many people can also become discouraged from the sport due to them feeling unfairly biased against, or bad decisions going against their team or player within the sport, and this may discourage them as they feel as if their team can't be treated fairly, then they can either, meaning that they become discouraged and do no longer want to take part within that sport. However, it can also benefit sport. Because of these chat rooms, people may become encouraged to play the game, as they feel like they may want to get involved rather than just talk about it, as they may have been talking about football and been watching it for a very long time, but because of their big interest in it and talking about it via chat rooms online, they may now want to get involved with the sport in reality and start playing it. Also, fan sites on the internet has a big influence, as many fans can group together, talk about their team or their players, and they can then vote. There can be many more awards for the team due to the players being voted by the public and the fans. And also this can generate money for the team and football in general, because they may charge small fees for apps on the App Store, and also online features such as LFC TV, Chelsea TV, MUFC TV, which are fan sites, and you can also get features on there such as interviews with the players, highlights of the matches, etc., which generates money for the teams and football, because they can now get into the game more using these fan sites and get a bigger look at their team and become more interested with the sport by paying the fee for the app or the website and the fan site. Also, merchandising on the internet has a very big influence on sport now, as many teams are able to sell their kits via online rather than just in store, which increases their sales and generates more money for the team, which can affect the team as they can generate more money, which results in them possibly building more stadiums, bigger stadiums, developing the football club, the youth academy, and also buying in new players to improve the team. And generally, football can improve through merchandising. Technology. Clothing has influenced sport technologically because there are constantly advancements within sports clothing. The reason for this is to enhance sporting performances and ensure that the sports clothing are comfortable for athletes. Examples of sport clothing that has developed to satisfy sport needs are clothing such as thermals and boots, such as the My Coach boots, allowing athletes to analyse their performance through their running distance, speed, positioning, etc. These types of clothing influence the sport because athletes can now play sport in comfortable clothing that can keep them warmer and also allows their performance to enhance through the clothing they wear, as they may be able to dribble the ball better, pass the ball better and shoot the ball better through their footwear in football, for example. Also, they can analytically review their game for the future. This can also increase participation rate, as many more people want to get involved with the sport, as the clothing is more comfortable, easier to use, and can improve their performance on the pitch. Personal equipment has influenced sport technologically, as there are constantly improvements made on sport and equipment in order to improve athletes through the equipment and training, allowing them to analyse their performances easier through technological advancements, and also the athletes can specifically improve on different aspects of their game through their personal equipment. Examples include coaching equipment such as a My Coach boot, which contains a chip inside, allowing athletes in football to pull the chip out after a match and look at the different aspects of the game, such as their running distance, speed, positioning, etc., allowing athletes to advance and improve themselves. This influences sport a great deal, as many more people want to get involved within sport, as they know that they can improve their performance a lot easier through technological advancements in personal equipment, resulting in a higher participation, creating more money for the sport, helping the sport. Cameras have technologically influenced sport through things such as replays and freeze frames. This is because replays can show the fans watching on TV and also pundits, players and managers watching parts of the game over and over to review what happened. This has influenced sport, as players can now see different parts of their game in detail to analyse it and see what they did well or what they needed to improve. Also, it can allow better decisions made by referees. For example, in tennis, the players can ask for a decision to be reviewed to whether or not the ball was in or out. This is done by a replay and freeze frames using cameras in order for the correct decision to be made. Things such as this can improve participation rates within sport, as people want to get involved within sports as they feel like the sport is a lot fairer. Also, this generates money for a sport, as many bet on sport as the game is fairer, and due to the decision being correct, bettors will want to place their money on a fair sport, whereas without advancements like this, many people will not bet as they may feel cheated out of their money. However, due to these advancements, this is not the case. It's generated money for sports, allowing the sport to develop further and become even better through technological advancements. Analysis influences sport hugely, as there are many benefits for advancing technological analysis, such as drug testing equipment, as athletes can now be tested for drugs with a higher accuracy rate, and also due to the advancements of drug testing equipment, there is a lot more equipment, meaning that they can test many more players. This makes sport fairer and can increase participation, as many people want to play sports that don't include people cheating on drugs. Also, betting increases, as many people do not want to lose money through athletes cheating through drugs. Both of these factors generate more money for sport, allowing the sport to advance and develop through the increase of money through participation levels and betting rates. Video analysis is also a big influence on sport, as the fans and public can analyse games themselves, or pundits can analyse games using their experience of the game, giving fans, players and coaches an analysis of their performance, breaking down the gameplay and going into a lot of detail within the game, going through strengths and areas for improvement. These areas of improvement can then be made by athletes and players, meaning that they can develop as players and become better at their game. This can also increase participation rates within sports, as athletes and coaches can now analyse their performances a lot easier, allowing them to develop as a player, meaning that they can become better and possibly move up the sports development continuum. This generates more money, as more people will feel as if they can play the sport easier, as they are able to analyse their performances and want to get involved. The money the sport generates can then go towards developing the sport further and increase participation levels once again. Also, there are even more advanced technological analysis methods, such as the My Coach boot in football, which contains a chip inside, allowing athletes in football to pull the chip out after a match and look at the different aspects of their game, such as their running distance, speed, positioning, etc., allowing athletes to advance and improve themselves. This is another influence in sport, as athletes can now transfer the data linked to their equipment and transfer this equipment using the internet. This allows athletes to analytically review their performance and develop themselves as players. This is a big influence, as people can now buy equipment with technological advancements which can not only help them perform better on the pitch but also off the pitch, as they can now look at how to improve their performance by looking at their performance in great detail, looking at areas to improve on and working on improving them, creating more opportunities for athletes and players to develop further and possibly become scouted and develop up the sports continuum.